Welcome to Inspiration and Transformation from the Banks of the Ganga with Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati, an American sannyasi living at the Parmarth Niketan ashram in Rishikesh, India. Sadhvi is president of the Divine Shakti Foundation, a charitable organization bringing education, vocational training, upliftment, and empowerment programs to women and children. Sadhvi is also Secretary General of the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance and Director of the world-famous International Yoga Festival. Join the musings of an American sannyasi as Sadhvi shares the wisdom and teachings of her guru, His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswati Ji.
Welcome everyone to Inspiration and Transformation from the holy banks of the sacred Ganga River in the land of Rishikesh, India. How do you pray? Beautiful. Well, you're right. There isn't a single answer to it in the same way that if you say, how do you love your beloved? There's not a single answer, right? We all show the one we love that we love them in different ways. And yet, there's a thread that runs through it all. In the same way with prayer. The way we pray is with love. We go to God with love. Prayer is not bargaining. A lot of us think that prayer is bargaining. I'm going to go to God. I'm going to say, you give me this and I'll give you that. Right? You give me $1 million, the job I want, the house I want, the spouse I want, whatever it is. You give that to me and I will meditate an hour a day. I will do 21 rounds of japa every day. I will chant 108 Hanuman Chalisas. I will go to the temple and I will do a special puja. I will donate a lot of money to the temple. So a lot of people think that prayer is bargaining. Like we're going to buy off God with the money, with the puja, with the japa. But that's not what prayer is. That's bargaining. Whether you do it with God or you do it with somebody on the street, it's bargaining. It's not love. It's not prayer. Prayer is when we actually go to God with love. You can speak, it can be silent. But it's a time of being together with the one we love. And we may spend it singing, chanting, speaking, reciting something. Simply hands on our heart, feeling the love. There's an infinite number of ways we may express that love. We may show up to pray with flowers. Not because God wants our flowers in this bargaining arrangement, but because we saw the flowers and we thought of our beloved and so we brought them. And we offer them as the flower of our hearts. But prayer is just being with God. And having faith that God knows that which is needed. When a child goes and sits in the lap of the mother, the child doesn't need to say, oh, and by the way, in about 15 minutes, I think I'm going to need a diaper change. Don't forget. And tonight, please, for God's sakes, get me to bed early because I'm really tired. But feed me, for God's sakes, before that, okay? Just remember to do that. God doesn't need to be reminded what we need any more than a mother needs to be reminded by her child in her lap that the child needs to be fed, that the diaper needs to be changed. As the mother feels the love for the child, she knows what needs to be done. Maybe she can smell the diaper. Maybe she hears the baby's belly rumble. Oh, you're hungry. Oh, you're tired. So we go to God in love, like a child goes to its mother. The child isn't thinking, I'm going to go sit in mom's lap so that I can get a good diaper change. Or I better go sit in mom's lap so she feeds me tonight. Right? If that's the case, that's what we call child abuse, not parenting. If the child doesn't get fed unless the child reminds the parent, that's called child abuse. It's criminal. Mothers who are not abusing their children, not criminally negligent, remember to feed them anyway. Change the diapers anyway. Put the children to sleep anyway. So the child goes to sit in the mother's lap not thinking, oh, I better do this so I get food, but just to be there in the lap of the mother. Comes home from school, busy day, big exam. Just wants to come and crawl into mom's lap. I don't even mean little babies. But even as we get older, come home from a day at school and just want to crawl into mom's lap. Just to be with her. Just to let all of that which I'm carrying to go, now it's in mom's hands. Whatever I was carrying now, I've just exhaled it into mom's hands. And in the same way, when we go to God, we go just wanting to be with God in prayer, just in love. And God knows what we need. God doesn't need you to remind him or her. Just connect in love. Because what you'll find is simply that connection in love is actually the answer to so much of that which we need. Just that loving connection. Just that lap of the divine is actually really what we need.
Conscious media for conscious minds. Om Times. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of Om Times Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going Om. My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
If I could be you,
and you could be me for just 1 hour,
if you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind,
walk a mile in my shoes.
walk a mile in my shoes.
walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out, and for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Welcome back to Inspiration and Transformation. I'm so glad to have you all back here with me. How can we overcome our negative self-talk and cultivate a more positive and self-affirming mindset? Raise your hand if you've ever experienced any kind of negative self-talk. It means saying to yourself at any point, oh my God, you're so stupid, or you're this, or you're that, or you can't do anything. Okay. So, pretty unanimous. And I wanted you to do that, and I did it with our eyes open. So everyone could see that, yeah, it happens to everybody. It's very normal. Rather, I should say it's very common. Normal depends on what we think about the nature of our psyche and the mind. So it's very normal in terms of the way that we've been brought up, the way that our minds have attached themselves with Maya, with ignorance. See, here's how it happens. And in the problem is the solution. Who we are at the core of ourselves is divine. One with the divine. Created of the Creator and by the Creator. Not only by the Creator, but of the Creator. Which means that all of those attributes of the Creator are true of us. So, attributes of God, infinite, grace, peace, love, compassion, truth, right? These are just some. I'm just throwing out attributes that most of us use. If I said to you, define, describe God in your mind, your tradition, your lineage, your way, whatever it may be, your path. Well, we all agree that the divine is infinite. We agree that the divine is pure, love, truth, fullness, completeness, omnipotence, right? These are attributes of the divine. We've been created of that divine, not just by the divine, but of the divine, which means that that is who we are. We are soul. We are spirit. We are divinity. The dilemma comes, Maya. And I'm actually bringing two questions together because there was also a question that said, how do we deal with Maya? Can we really not be lost in the illusion? So we're actually putting the question of Maya together with the question of negative self-talk because they go together. Maya says, you are the body. That's Maya. Or that's what we would call more specifically avidya or agyan, meaning the lack of, the absence of knowledge or wisdom. Lack of gyan, lack of vidya, makes us think we are the body. It's an aspect of Maya. When I think I am the body, well then, God, it's really not beautiful enough. It could be so much more beautiful. I mean, I could be a different height. I could be a different weight. I could have a different set of proportions of, bust to hip to waist. I could have a different skin tone. I could have different hair. I could not have a pimple on my nose. So many things could be so much better. And I look around at all the people who I think are more beautiful than I am, and I feel not so attractive. I could be so much smarter. There's so much I don't know. And I look at all the people who are smarter than I am, and I think, oh God, I don't know anything. And I could be so much more skillful, able, efficient, effective. And I look around at all the people who are doing things so much better than I am, and I think, oh, not fair, I'm useless, I'm worthless. Right? So you see how, from the identification as the body, what it looks like, what it can do, its status in society, through that agyan or avidya, through that maya, I suffer. I don't feel beautiful enough. I don't feel smart enough. I don't feel successful enough. I don't feel popular enough. Oh my God, maybe that person doesn't like me. Maybe I'm not likable. Why didn't anybody comment on my social media post? Right? This is what goes through everyone's minds, sadly. Why does it go through our mind? Because in that ignorance, I have identified as this body, this role, this story. I've hooked into Maya. And I've decided it is truth. Therefore, my mind is constantly telling me, you're ugly, you're stupid, you shouldn't have said that, you're worthless, you're not smart enough, you'll never be successful, you'll never be this, you'll never be that, look at how much better that person is. Who do you think you are? Surely you're going to fail. So the answer to the negative self-talk is not just about substituting it for positive. I mean, you could do that, and on a very basic level, it'll work. If instead of saying I'm ugly, if I do enough affirmations and say I am beautiful, and I put Post-it notes up all over my house that say I am beautiful, I could change that self-talk. And that's helpful, but ultimately it is symptom alleviation. It isn't actually addressing the core cause. The core cause is this false identification. Because if I think I am the body, well, sure, things like ugly or beautiful are obviously subjective, but in an objective, truthful reality as well, there's going to always be a lot of people who are more beautiful than you are, more handsome than you are, more successful than you are, smarter than you are, funnier than you are, more popular than you are, better at doing pretty much anything that you want to do than you are. You paint, there'll always be people who are better painters. You dance, there will always be people who are better dancers. You write, there will be people who are better writers. So every time I identify as that which I do, or as that which I look like, or as that which I have, I'm laying a very fertile ground for that negative self-talk to blossom. And this is where we have to go about fixing it from the foundation. So if your negative self-talk says you are ugly, Sure, one answer is learn to say I'm beautiful. But a deeper answer is I'm not this body. This isn't who I am. Who's the I that's ugly? Sure, there is a body, like you have a car. And your car is nicer than some people's car, and it's not as nice as other people's car. Fancier than some people's car, not as fancy as other people's car. But it isn't you. And if your negative self-talk says you're stupid, yeah, you could go back with, I am brilliant. But a truer answer is I'm not my brain. It's good at some things, not so good at other things. Some of us can do math really well. Others of us can't do math if our lives depended on it. Some of us have great memories, some of us don't. Some of us are more creative in certain ways than others. We're all different. Everybody's brain is different. So by whatever standard you are deciding you are stupid, is clearly some function of the brain. I got a math problem wrong, I say I'm stupid, means that aspect of my brain is not as highly refined as I would like it to be. Does not function as well as I would like it to. But I'm not my brain. I'm not stupid. The parts of my brain that do mathematical reasoning are just not my strong point. Okay. It's a physical aspect. Like saying how tall you are, or how much you weigh, or what the color of your skin is. Some of us can sing, some of us can dance. Some of us can, tap your nose and rub your stomach at the same time. Everybody remember that from being a kid, right? I mean, some people could do it automatically. Others could do it for hours and not quite get it. Some people juggle, some people can't juggle. We've all got different abilities. But they're all products of one thing, the brain. But we are not our neurons. So I'm not stupid. I'm not ugly. I'm not this. I'm not that. Because all of the ways I'm judging myself don't actually have anything to do with who I am. So the deep way of overcoming the negative self-talk is not just substitute it for positive talk, but really go in there and question yourself, who is ugly? Who is stupid? Who's the who we're talking about? Do I really identify as a physical body? Like my car, like a box? Let me go deeper. Let me start reading some scriptures. Let me start reading Yoga Sutras or Bhagavad Gita or whatever it may be. The teachings, the lives of the saints and the sages and the masters. Let me start going to Satsang. Let me start meditating. Let me start doing something to show myself who I really am. And there's nothing wrong, by the way, with feeling great about how you look, feeling great with how your brain works. Nothing wrong with that. The dilemma is, it won't always be so. There will come a time in your life, and whether it's through aging, whether it's through illness, whether it's through an accident, whatever it may be, in which you look in the mirror and you do not see beauty looking back at you. And if you've spent your whole life identifying as what you look like, then those days are going to be very difficult days. And as you age, it's going to bring about a lot of suffering. And then you're going to find yourself jumping on this anti-aging chaos. Somehow, some doctor or dermatologist or beautician or somebody is going to just invent something that's going to change the very nature of nature. Some cream, some potion, some tonic, some serum that's just going to render the nature of nature foiled. I don't think so. A better way to really combat aging is to realize you're not that which ages. That's the anti-aging rule. I'm not the body. Yeah, the body's aging, but I'm not the body. I'm eternal. When we pray, asatoma sadgamaya, tamsoma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Lead us, the last part says, lead us from death to immortality. Not via some serum or tonic or ultra moisturizer. Not via some injection or surgery, but via recognizing that who you are is the soul which is eternal, not the body which is mortal. And so we begin with the foundation, freeing ourselves from that Maya, from avidya, from agyan. Going into gyan, wisdom, truth of who I am. Such that whenever the negative self-talk comes, I've got something very deep to offer it. More than just a different way of looking at the body. And then, as I age, as my bank account goes up and down, as my identity of my career or my family relationships, as these things change, as I age, as I retire, as kids move out of the house, I'm not dependent upon that identity, that role, that relationship to think about who I am. So we've addressed 3 questions in one. Maya, negative self-talk, and anti-aging.
The Real Conscious Connection. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization. Their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
You came across someone struggling with hunger. How would you recognize them? Would you notice an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for
summer break because she may not be having lunch again until September?
Or a war veteran who's having a hard time
landing a job and getting back on his feet?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation. He was sharing, for those of you in the back, he was sharing how we've been talking at different times about things inside of us that we feel are dark and wrong, and how he's gay, and that he's realized with great courage, I might add, that he feels like that is dark and wrong about him, and no matter what work he does, that there's still that sense that it's dark and it's wrong. First of all, you should know it is not. Yeah, so taking the message from the brain to the heart is so critical and difficult. One way you can think about it, do you believe in God? Okay. So, do you believe that God is perfect? Yes. He's answering yes to all of my questions. If he gives a no, I'll let you know. Yes, he believes in God. Yes, he believes God is perfect. Okay. Do you believe that God is omnipotent, that he's all-powerful? Do you believe that God is omniscient, all-knowing? Yes, yes, yes. Therefore, and by the way, I'm not even sure what religion you are, but this pertains to every religion that I know of. I don't know of a religion in which people believe that God is not perfect, not omnipotent, not omniscient. If we believe that there is something wrong about us, as fundamental to who we are, as our sexuality, then what that is saying is that God is either not perfect, not omnipotent, or not omniscient. Because if God is omniscient, means knows I'm gay, omnipotent, could have made me not gay, if he, she, it, they wanted, and perfect, well then God knows I'm gay, has very perfectly, with all power to make me otherwise, made me gay. Why should I then second guess God? I mean, do you really think that you are the sole exception to the rule, that God is perfect and omnipotent and omniscient? Because that's kind of an ego trip, right? Out of however many billions of beings have been created, I am the sole exception. I'm the one not perfect. Right? I mean, that's an ego trip. That's a game that says I. Yeah, you all were made by the same God, perfect and omniscient and omnipotent, but I, out of all of you, out of all of creation ever to have happened, I am the mistake. Now, I tell you, I used to be on the same ego trip. Not because I'm gay, but for all sorts of other reasons that I thought that I was wrong and dark and bad. And you start to realize this particular thought doesn't work with everything I believe. And what that means is that you've got to anchor yourself in what you believe, anchor in your faith in God. And hold that faith in God deeply, knowing, as you said, I didn't put those yeses in your mouth, that God is perfect, omniscient, omnipotent. Means I am a perfect creation of a perfect creator. Now, the dilemma and the reason that you feel like there's something wrong is because we've got a culture that is rooted in separation. We've got a culture that's rooted in othering, polarization, us versus them. A culture that's rooted in creating lines between us, always looking for someone who is not right. And so whether it's on the basis of color, whether it's on the basis of religion, or race, or size, or shape, or sexual orientation, our culture is constantly saying, we are better than them. We, the ones of the right color, right race, right religion, right sexual orientation, right shape, right socioeconomic status. And that's violence. We call it hinsa. And as people dedicated to yoga, to spirituality, we take vows of yam and niyam, the do's and the don'ts. It begins with ahimsa, vows of nonviolence, which means that we need to create a new culture in which we stop creating these lines. We take down the borders, we take down the boundaries. That we stop needing to create a them in order to feel better about ourselves. That's hinsa, and it's pathology. If I need to ostracize someone in order for me to feel okay, that's what we call the schoolyard bully. I mean, I remember growing up, and there are kids in every class, in every school, who are bullies. And my school was no exception. And I remember going home at night crying at the things that the schoolyard bully had said to me. Ways that that bully had made me feel badly about myself. You're stupid, you're this, you're the, whatever he had said. I don't even remember now, but whatever kids who are bullies say. And I remember my mom told me something very interesting. I went to a small school. Everybody knew everybody. And my mom said, sweetheart, his parents are in the middle of a divorce. He's very upset. He's confused, he's angry. Here's what's happening. She knew his parents. Here's what's happening with his mom. Here's what's happening with his father. Here's what his home situation is like right now. He's taking his personal misery out on you and on others. And that's why he's being so mean. And it was one of the most powerful lessons of my life. Because that's true not only on the schoolyard, that is true in life everywhere. Those who are pointing fingers, ostracizing, making others feel bad, are doing it because they themselves are miserable and need to somehow make others miserable in order to feel okay. It's like if you've got food poisoning. Until and unless you throw it up, you're not going to feel better. Right? As anybody who's eaten something wrong knows. You feel awful. And then finally you throw up, and that's not so much fun, but afterwards you feel better. At least it's out. And this is what these people do. They've got the misery inside, and they metaphorically vomit it out onto the world, so that temporarily they feel better. And this is why we've got all of these discrimination. It's why we've got all of the othering and the polarization and the hatred and the us versus them. But what you've got to realize, if you're on the receiving end of that, is I don't need to feel badly about myself. Just because others are pathological in their need to make me feel bad so they can feel better. I don't need to offer my peace, my joy, my knowing of the perfection of myself on the altar of someone else's pathology, an individual, a group, a society. And that's what you do when you take it on. And so you need to go back to your faith in God. Feel it in your heart. Would God create you wrong? Why? Why would God make you wrong? And that's what we do. We bring hurt to others. We project. God did not make you wrong. God made you perfect. You didn't know you were perfect in this way when you were young. Probably in some subconscious way you did, which is why you were discriminatory to others. But God does not make mistakes. And being gay is not bad karma for what you said to other people. Do not let yourself convince yourself that because you were mean to someone, therefore now that you got the gay bashing. No. Not bad karma. Not due to that. God's not there to punish us. Who you are is perfect. Whatever size or shape or color you may be, whatever race or religion you may be, whatever sexual orientation you may be, it doesn't matter. We're like flowers in a garden. Each perfect, each different. But we've got to just keep remembering the perfection of the gardener. And that's going to be your path. Is realizing and anchoring yourself in faith. And just keep reminding yourself, God didn't make a mistake. God didn't make a mistake. If I'm wrong, it means God made a mistake. And God doesn't make mistakes. Which means, therefore, I am not wrong. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for the open and beautiful and courageous question. And what it means for the rest of us is, if you find yourself ever discriminating against someone, against a group of people, based on any aspect of them, ask yourself, how am I suffering? And address your own suffering. Because I promise you, no one who is not suffering sees the world as anything other than equal, beautiful beings. So if you see others as anything other than equal, other than equally beautiful varieties of God's creation, ask yourself, how am I suffering? And how can I overcome my suffering? So I don't take it out on others. Why do I feel the need to hurt others? To make judgments about others, to push others away? Why do I feel so insecure in myself that I need to identify based on what I am not? And then do your work. so that you don't take it out on others.
The future of internet radio is here. Om Times Radio, IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. The majority of victims know their attacker. It could be your friend, your neighbor, or someone you met at a party. If you said no, it's rape, and it's a crime. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline today at 1-800-656-HOPE or visit rain.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation. There's a reason that the national flower is the lotus, right? There's a reason that in our pujas we offer lotus flowers. Every year on Ganga Dashera we offer these beautiful lotus flowers to Ma Ganga. Thousands of them. It's exquisite. Why do we worship and love the lotus flower? Because it's a symbol. It's a symbol of beauty that grows in the muck. The lotus isn't needing to leave the muck to become beautiful. She grows in the muck, but she's not letting the muck in her. And that's the key. Is if your circumstance or your situation is not conducive, and you cannot change it, well, then you become like the lotus. Because one thing is absolutely crystal clear. No one on earth has the power to prevent you from living your dharma or to experiencing the truth of who you are or to attaining enlightenment, moksha, samadhi. No one has that power unless you give it to them. If you say, you make me so angry, it's your fault I'm angry. I was so peaceful, then you came home. Then I've given you the power. But that's up to me. Unless I give it to you, no one has the power to prevent me from fulfilling my dharma, whatever the circumstance might be. We see every day in such horrible situations in the world, from war to crime, to drugs, to poverty. We've got every day beautiful examples of beings who are in the worst situation. And yet, in that situation, who become beacons of light. People who came out of the Holocaust. Some who lost their lives in the Holocaust, others who managed not to lose their lives but were in the concentration camps. I mean, we find these inspiring beings who 80 years later, are those we are looking to for inspiration. How do you live? And obviously what they're going through, what they went through, is far worse than what we go through. But nonetheless, in the midst of a concentration camp, in the midst of losing every single family member, of knowing that your number is next, we have beacons of light, people who manage to stay anchored in love, hope, faith, truth, compassion. People coming out of gang-infested cities, drug-infested cities, poverty-ridden places, and who become leaders, world leaders, beacons of light. And I mention this because they remind us it is possible. And every time you feel like my circumstance, my situation is so bad that no matter what I do, I cannot be peaceful, just spend half an hour online, Googling some of them. Just read. Read some of it. Their diaries, their lives, their teachings. Because it'll just remind you of the power that you have. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that it isn't easier being in an ashram than being in a difficult family situation or a difficult work situation. But I'm saying that no one, even a being who is about to take your life, has the ability to prevent you from attaining peace, from fulfilling your dharma, unless you give it to them. And so you need to remember that. Stay anchored, stay grounded, but also set boundaries. With love, you can come up with all kinds of ways to do it. Set up a certain number of hours a day that you are in silence. Ye mera mondai. Create boundaries for yourself. Sube, sham, whatever it is. I'm not saying everybody's going to say, oh, that's so great. No problem. There will be pushback, but that's okay. Because you are also not here. Your dharma on earth is not here to make sure that no one else ever feels uncomfortable or that no one else ever has to compromise. That's not your dharma. And so we work out in individual situations, in individual ways. How can I, both internally with my own energy system, my own thoughts, my own japa, no matter what the situation, I stay anchored. I keep chanting my mantra. But also, in my physical space, in my physical time, I set up boundaries. Here's the time that I'm in silence. Here's the time I'm meditating. And they become non-negotiable. And you work it out. You do whatever you have to do, but you do it with love. And you make sure that you never tell another person or even yourself, you've made me angry. It's your fault. Because no one can make you angry. No one can steal your peace. Every one of us makes decisions, conscious, unconscious decisions, of what we are prepared to lose our peace over. But that decision is up to us. And again, I realize there are situations that are easier than others. But this is an opportunity for you to really be clear But what are you prepared to lose your peace over and what are you not? And what are your boundaries? And to keep that japa going all the time. And to just be aware. Just notice it. Anger is arising. Not I am angry, but I notice anger is beginning to arise. And you look at it, you see it, you notice it. Hi, I don't actually have time for you today. I've already committed the day to spending it with love instead. You can try again tomorrow. I think I'll be busy again tomorrow too. But thanks for dropping by. Right? You're in a meeting. Someone tries to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. I'm already... Time to de dia. I've already committed my day to love instead. So sorry. This brings to a close this hour of inspiration and transformation. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to be together with you all each week. And I look forward to being together again next Thursday, same time on Om Times Radio.